Welcome back to our fourth episode of the Synergistic CX podcast. This is part 3, where we're here with our industry expert, Kira Mackenzie-Smith. She's going to tell us some more information about this particular industry. Chris, you've got some questions for her?
Yes, I do. Thank you again, Kira, for being here with us today. And I'm so happy because we have known each other for a long time. And I know that customer experience is for sure one of your passions. To start, what would be your top advice for a fragrance store business when designing their customer experience strategy, where they should start?
Yeah, okay. So thank you. Thanks, Chris. I certainly do get into my customer experience for our clients. I think for a perfume brand, and if we're talking about single brand stores rather than multi-brand stores, and I think if we can just focus on that, then most definitely personalized experiences need to come first. And how we work with our clients is often physically working with their teams, their management teams, to put together a customer journey map. It's incredibly important to do this exercise and for all the teams to be involved, particularly management, but for staff to be involved too. And where we're tracking every step along the way, every touch point that the customer might come in contact with a sales associate, with the product, or with any sort of step of the process. And really put yourself in the shoes of the customer. Really, how are they feeling about each step? How can we minimize effort along the way, make it an easy process? Give them that little bit of sort of enhanced service, something that will really personalize. And I think this is number one and I know from looking at our feedback just in the previous podcast, is that certainly the personalized experience is definitely number one. So we need to think about a strategy of exactly what does that look like? What questions can the sales associate ask to make that person feel comfortable, feel welcome, and then to really deep dive into what it is that they're looking for. Also then by perhaps even looking at the different personas, different customer personas. And within that, everybody's got a different journey. Everybody might have a different customer journey. Often the stores are sort of designed in such a way to allow that flow so that then the sales associate would then be able to take the customer through a scent journey where they can try many different, notes and fragrances. And so they end up, perhaps getting to that point where they've found the one scent that is really going to hit home. And as we were saying too in the first podcast, is that this emotional connection, that really making sure that is number one, because we often choose our fragrances and especially, and also not just for ourselves, but also for a gift. We base it on very personal feedback, our own personal memories, connections, and it's often that sort of irrational purchase. We can't, put a finger on exactly why we make it, but it's often associated with memories. So that emotional connection is incredibly important.
Great. And I know that sorry, you're saying something else?
No. There's so many strategies that one could take. Let's keep going.
Okay, perfect. And I know that you have lived in so many different countries and continents. You are a citizen of the world. And I have been in Asia as well so many times. What do you think that business leaders can learn from the business culture in Asia? For example, from Japan, that I know that's a market that you know very well. For example, what makes the customer experience so unique that could inspire business leaders in other countries to learn from them?
Yeah, in Asia we certainly do things a little bit differently, and I think between the countries there's also a vast difference with service. But I think it's this sort of very polite, respectful service, particularly that you get in Japan, South Korea, China as well, where it's a deferential service, which doesn't always come across necessarily in a lot of the Western countries as a natural type of service, but in a lot of the Asian countries it does. And if it's done in a very, not in a subservient type of way, but just in a way where it's very respectful to the guest. And I think the other area, so that, number one, and then I think the other thing is that it's a quiet service. You know, there's nothing sort of overt. It is very quiet. They're listening, they're great listeners. And I think then this is a good service. I mean, we certainly have plenty of bad service too, but when it's good, it's amazing. And I think, you know, South Korea and Japan in particular are incredible at delivering this type of service. And for me, and particularly in this industry, I think this is very relevant. As I think I said before, is that you often need to give the customer space when you're in this sort of sense journey, during the customer journey flow, during the time in store, is that the sales associate needs to allow time for the customer to absorb what they're smelling, to grab those memories and that connection with the brand and with the perfume itself. And so delivering a very quiet service, I think it would works mostly, particularly with more high-end brands.
It's true, and in my experience is also the hospitality spirit that comes in within the culture, that serving someone is not a second-class job. You know, it's like the customer is a guest, and it's like they want the customer to feel welcome in the store, and that makes a lot of difference as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, very much. It does come a lot more naturally. I mean, Thailand also is another country which gives beautiful service. I mean, they're very graceful people. And so then these are the sorts of things. I mean, I would love some of this. We also do mystery shopping in Australia, sort of, you know, from China sort of all the way through to Australia. And the service again it's very practical. It's just a very different style of service. It works, but it works for Australians serving Australians. This is what works. But I would love the West to be able to just take some of this quiet service away and install it in their customer journey flows.
Fantastic. And in terms of mystery shopping, that is one of your expertise. Can you share with us, with your audience, some of the most important aspects that companies need to consider when starting a mystery shopping program?
Ooh, there's a lot to think about. I mean, I always ask our customers or our clients when they first come on board is mystery shopping really the tool that you need? So, and why is it that you think mystery shopping is the tool? And because sometimes, I mean, it gives you insight into why they think this is, because if it's you know, we can use it as a training tool, we can use it as a tool to monitor, we can use it as a tool to reward and incentivize. So it's great to figure out that from the beginning. I also think, you know, and this is from our experience, if there's no dedicated person internally with the client that can help analyze, manage the program, execute perhaps action plans or at least sort of some improvement plans with the stores, then that also is one of those key things that the mystery shopping program will not be successful if the client actually doesn't have somebody on the inside, and that we can work directly with them to help support and then action improvement. So I think this is a really, you know, a big part of that. Also, of course, making sure that the mystery shopping reports we're assessing the criteria against which the sales associates have been trained and the managers have been trained. I mean, that's setting people up for failure, so that's just a definite no-go. And also, I guess that the mystery shopping program has a positive flavour attached to it. That we're not there just to sort of check and monitor. It's not an audit, you know, that we're there actually to help support and to give feedback for training and further development. You know, if particular clients do choose to give rewards for better mystery shopping scores, I'm not really a big fan necessarily of this. Perhaps a portion of the reward could go to the mystery shopping success, but otherwise, and particularly in Asia and some of our Northern Asia clients will tend to focus too much on the score. Once you start rewarding based on the score, then that becomes a focus. But so all of these things, when you're designing a mystery shopping program, then there's so much to think about to make sure that it is a fair, equitable, that you're getting the information that you want, and that it's, in the end, it's successful.
Kira, another one of your passions is training and people development. And you shared with us a very interesting case study that you share with your audience in this month magazine. And you mentioned that your training programs are designed first for top management, then to the store managers, and finally to store managers. I was wondering why, and can you give us one example of how do you combine mystery shopping and training?
Yes, training, in my blood. It's great. And I think it's the reason why we do this. I mean, really, I came to mystery shopping through the training industry. And in fact, back when Learning Curve, as the name says, we were primarily a training company. And we always used mystery shopping as the tool to benchmark the service at the beginning of any training or prior to any training program, and then throughout the training, and then also post any training, just to see, has the training stuck? Have all the teams actually learned what we've trained? So we get a great return on investment on that. So we still use it because we have clients now who are purely training clients, and then we have others, but we still use mystery shopping. I can't help myself. We'll still throw in mystery shopping there just to check and get some return on investment. But on the converse, with the mystery shopping clients who also do training, yes, we use the mystery shopping scores in a few different ways. And we'll have, in one case, we'll do what we call quarterly management forums, where we will get the area managers, store managers together quarterly. We'll have a review of the results, and we'll have almost like a brainstorming. It's not a training session, but it's also more facilitation, where what we're doing is figuring out where did they go wrong, why did they go wrong, with any of the perhaps more unsuccessful questions in the quarter before, but then brainstorm, well, what can we do to go ahead? And then we'll be there as sort of the drivers to get the managers thinking. This is one area where we combine both the training and the mystery shopping. We also use automated action plans. So our platform, ShopMetrics, is able to have automated action plans which get triggered from the mystery shopping scores, if any unsuccessful questions. And within that action plan, we've sort of turned it around a little. It's not just an action plan. For us, it's a training tool where we will embed training by the words of training, but then we'll also embed links to our clients' training modules. And so then what you're doing is allowing the managers, because they'll be the recipients of these automated action plans, and what it does is then gives them a ready tool to be able just to implement training immediately. It's one of these things. When I used to run restaurants and retail stores, I would have loved somebody just to sort of give me the training, give me the tools, the materials, what I needed to do to train my team. It would have been so much easier. I would have done it so much more often. So what we do is just help our clients, support our clients in this way to be able to ensure, because we can't, as a training company, it's too expensive to have us around at every store at every moment to do training, but we need to empower and train the store managers and the teams to actually be amazing trainers so that they can do their own in-store training. And this is just one way of supporting by having these action plans embedded with lots of training.
Yeah, that's actually my next question about, you frequently work closely, I know, with store managers on their action plans. And what do you think are the major obstacles brands face to provide an excellent customer experience in terms of improving their services, and how brands could overcome those obstacles?
Look, I think, one of the biggest obstacles is definitely training and the time to train. In this industry, the perfume industry, as we saw in the the customer journey flow is that, in fact, that area where you need to personalize, really give a lot of product knowledge, understand the ingredients, the different scents, and then how it's going to match with the customer. These are the areas of training which take time and take, repeated again and again. And I think a lot of stores just don't have time for this. So wherever we can support by actually, arming the managers with as many tools as they can. So I think training is one of the big obstacles. Look, I think there's also time, short-staffed. I don't know, in Asia, this is one of the big problems at the moment too, is that most retail, everywhere, is any sort of frontline facing staff are lacking at the moment. And I think also motivation. So I think what we do is often work with the management teams on how to keep their teams motivated, because I think this is also one of the big obstacles to providing some great customer experience. I guess they're the main ones, and it all comes back to training. It all comes back to sort of nurturing the teams and making sure that they've got every tool that they can to feel confident to be able to give this type of service, because it is personalized. You are working really closely with the customer. Unlike a lot of other industries, sales, retail sales like this, actually with perfumes, you're working so closely with the customer. You're really asking sometimes quite personal questions too. So the sales associate's got to have one of those very confident ways about them and attitude too. So wherever we can support, but I think training is one of the big areas.
Based on what you're saying here, and also what we've seen with this study with the marketing mix elements and everything, it's good customer experience here is not optional. Like, you have to have it, or it's just not going to work with respect to this industry.
Yes, and it is. From the clients that we work with, it is their number one focus. Product, of course, too, and things like, as Chris was saying in the last podcast too, it's the history, the craftsmanship, and any of the sort of environmental or sustainability approaches that they can do too. So if they can insert all of these different areas inside the customer journey, then this is what's very attractive to customers right now. So, but yes, it's intense. And I think in Asia in particular, we do have very intense competition between brands. As disposable incomes in Asia, particularly in China and India, increase, is that then now these brands are, vying for people's dollars. And I think, while cost of living is sort of quite high in most countries, in parts of Asia now, people have more income than they've ever had before. And this industry alone, apparently this year, is worth about $12 billion, which is way ahead of even the States, which is around about $9 billion. And from some of the reading that I did earlier is that, in fact, this industry is predicted to be, in Asia, it's predicted to be about $124 billion per year by about 2030. And so this is this focus on personalization, really giving this amazing customer service and setting yourself the product differentiation between other brands is the key to success for most of these perfume brands. It's amazing.
Yeah, and as Eric said, customer experience excellence is not an option, but at the same time, it does not happen by chance. So I was wondering if you use any metrics to measure return on investment in mystery shopping or in your training programs.
Well, mystery shopping is how we measure training. Like I mentioned before, we've always used this as a tool. So this is a great measurement tool for training. Certainly ROI. Companies spend a lot of money on training. It's an expensive outlay, and so then to be able to give them mystery shopping as a tool. Also, just the customer satisfaction overall. They can see increases in customer satisfaction. I think for the most part, we ask our clients if they can give feedback from their side. Do they see increase in sales? Do they see increase in their own sort of customer satisfaction surveys that they might be running? Add-on selling, upselling. Is Is this happening? Is the overall experience? These are all different ways, I guess, to measure mystery shopping and the success, and to measure training and the success too. We can link it back to client sales. Often, they're of course shy to share that information with us, but it's certainly a way that we can also give feedback to the client on how we can then, give some sort of metrics from our own return on investment. But mostly it's the training and the training feedback that we can give them too, that they've actually had success during this, personalized guest journey, that they're actually, that the staff are actually doing what they were trained to do. So yeah, this in itself I think is good.
So my last question for you, Kira, is to finish. What would be your top 3 recommendations for brands that want to excel in their customer experience strategy?
Yeah, there's so many. But I guess my top 3, I guess that without doubt, the top one is personalization. Without doubt, the customer needs to feel that this journey was tailored to them. And I think younger generations also looking for authenticity in the service, authenticity in the brand. And this is where, I guess the commitment to sustainability, the commitment to, creating a brand that's, I guess, maybe more localized. I mean, we work with some brands where they do create their own scent for that local market. So maybe, for example, in Hong Kong, there's a special Hong Kong scent. And so then people feel that connection to it. Maybe it's tied into, I don't know, a flower, perhaps, Hong Kong's flower. However, what that does, though, it sort of makes that a very specialized and personalized feeling for people here in Hong Kong, or even visitors coming to Hong Kong who might be wanting to make a purchase. So I think personalization, authenticity, and then I think definitely the emotional connection. If that's not there, because of this is such a sensorial type of journey that we're going on when we're walking into a perfume store, and the experience that we're hoping to have at the end. Definitely the emotional connection. I mean, I know, AI and a lot of machine learning is helping a lot of perfume companies at the moment actually sort of anticipate then what types of brands might suit different customer segments, different markets. However, there's still nothing like the emotional connection that you get when you're being in store. So I think they're my top 3: personalization, authenticity, and then that emotional, personal connection.
Those are fantastic advice for any sector, not just perfume. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with your audience.
Kira, what we have discussed on multiple occasions during the previous podcasts is the direct correlation between staff engagement and quality of service and performance in general. So my question for you is, what is the magic ingredient for getting staff to get engaged with the business and with the customers?
Oh, so to get staff engaged, I mean, this is one of the things that I mentioned before about motivation. It is difficult, and also in younger generations too, it is difficult to often motivate in a way that maybe you or I are motivated by different. But I think this connection with the brand, and I think we're working, it's actually not a perfume brand, we're working with a hotel client at the moment where the staff are actually, there's staff turnover, but they're also just not feeling connected with the brand and not connected with the hotel. So the idea of what we're doing, the design of the training that we're doing is based around, then identifying that brand equity. What is the value? What are the core values of the brand? And how does that actually connect with the staff, or how do the staff connect with the brand? And if they can find a connection, then they will feel engaged enough to be able to then give service, which is then authentic and personal. And until they find that connection, and it's hard, sometimes it's hard, but it's then the job of the client to then go back, or the company to go back to their core values and identify, well, what is it that what is our purpose? Why are we doing this? And how does that actually present to our staff? Like, well, what is that connection that they can then tie into? Because if they don't feel it, they're not going to feel it on the floor either, and they're not going to give that service. So I think that's an incredibly important part of what we do and how we work with our clients, because otherwise they'll disengage, disconnect, and then there'll be absolutely no rapport with the customers. And this is key. Yeah, good question. Thanks, Emil.
Great answer. Thank you very much.
All right, well, that wraps up this particular episode of the Synergistic CX podcast. Hope you enjoyed part 3 here. Kira, it was great to have you on. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Emil. Thanks, Chris. It's been great to talk to you.
And that wraps up this episode. This is actually the first episode where we've got 4 different continents being represented here today. We've got Kira over in Asia. We've got Emil in Europe, myself in North America, and Chris is in South America at the moment. And it was great. If you like this episode, please visit us on our website, cx-channel.com, to download the magazine where you can see all of the industry results here for this particular industry study, as well as our earlier podcasts and industries that we focused on. If you like this episode, also please follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, or your social media of choice, and stay up to date on our activities, and hit that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date. Leave us questions and comments there too, and also tell us what microindustry you would like to see next. And thank you again for watching the CX channel, where CX professionals converge.